Hi, my name is Ryan Harper, and I'm the host of Reporter's Notebook. And today we have Adrianna Hargrove in studio, and she is our daytime reporter and weekend anchor. How you doing today, Adrianna?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Good, good. So the next thing is going to be this. We're here today, a week after you did a very special story, and can you tell us a little bit about this A&E show that's coming into town?
Yes. So this was like a big surprise that the Pitt County Sheriffs had for everybody. They actually wanted me to cover this exclusively. And so I was very excited. I said yes, but I didn't know what it was until that morning. And so they told me, in the announcement when I was interviewing them that they would be on 60 Days In. And what that show is, it's an A&E network show. Apparently, it's a very big, popular show. And basically, 7 volunteers go undercover and they find out information that's going on in the prison. Like, are there drugs being smuggled in the prison? Are there fights going on in the prison? I remember the sheriff making a comment about, how are shanks being made? Are there deadly weapons being made in the prison? So it was a very, very big announcement that the sheriff's office made, and they are very excited, to be featured on the 8th season of this show.
Yeah, and just to hear that morning meeting, announcement, I was just like, oh man, it's nice that we can see some acknowledgement of the things that goes on here in Pitt County and especially Greenville, and as far as Sheriff Dance and like being in front of the camera, talk about all the things that she does here. So how was that? Was that like exciting? Did she tell you any kind of details, or did she just say you have to wait and see?
You have to wait and see for sure. And actually Pitt County Detention Center, where the show was filmed, they are the first and only North Carolina detention center to be featured on this show. So the sheriff, she was very, very excited about it. And they had reached out to her. She didn't reach out to them at all. They had actually reached out to her because she had mentioned that, she guesses that, they heard great things about the prisons, such as the SHARP program and the WARE program that she has there, which are basically programs where inmates can get their GED while serving their time there. So
Right.
I think that they have reached out to the sheriff's office, and the detention center to shoot the show there because of the wonderful programs that they have there. So she was shocked for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and for those who have not seen it, I highly advise you go take a look at the story. I'm going to post a link in the article about it because I think it's really cool. Now, with all that being said, can you tell us about this story that you worked on yesterday that features adoption?
Yeah. So the Easter Seals UCP, they're an organization that deals with foster kids, and the branch up in New Bern, well, technically the branch up in Charlotte, North Carolina, had reached out to me, and they said, hey, Adrianna, we know you've done a story with our New Bern branch before, and, May is foster care month, and so we wanted to reach out to you to see if you could feature like a family, who we've recently, done business with and everything. And I told him, I said, yeah, sure. I'm all for it. And so the family was very, very nice. Their story was very, very heartwarming. They fostered a child named Raylan, and that they adopted him, and he's 7 years old. And, their story was very heartwarming. They said, he just, they just welcomed him with open arms, and, he has an amazing personality. And this is crazy too, because as I was standing outside their house and I was packing up my equipment, their neighbor had came out and they were asking us, like, what were we doing? They were like, he was like, what are y'all doing? And so we told them that we had just finished talking to a foster care family who had taken a little boy in and had adopted him as their own. And so he was like, well, I'm actually a foster parent too. And we were like, really? Yeah. I mean, it was so shocking to us. It is. And so he briefly told us our story, his story. And I was like, well, hey, I could feature you too. I think your story is just as important. And so he let me interview him on camera, and he gave me pictures. They had foster cared for their 10-year-old son at the time. He's now
Right.
42 years old with a family of his own, living in Indiana.
That's
So that
awesome.
was a very heartwarming story. It was so coincidental that he came outside and asked us what we were working on, and it just so happened he had went through
Same
the
thing.
same thing that I was covering with this other family, and that was totally unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, because I saw the story in it, and the first thing that came to mind was like, how many people do you see that have these unique stories that are like right next door to each other, but never would have known if you didn't cover this subject. So,
Exactly.
adoption is really needed and necessary, especially here in this country. So it was nice to see that story get a little light on it, and
Exactly.
that your story just shows how small of a world it is when it comes to like adoption, how many people are affected by it,
Yeah.
So it's pretty
It's
awesome.
very sad. The Easter Seals executive director for New Bern, she had told me that they have very high cases of kids in foster care down there in Craven County, and it's heartbreaking to know that. And so they're doing, like she said in the story, they're doing everything that they can to, encourage people to foster care for a child in need.
All right. Now, is there anything that's coming up this week that you want people to be on the lookout for?
Nothing that I can think of. I know next week is National EMS Week, and I think it's very important that we, show appreciation to our first responders because, they're dealing with a lot of shortages right now. There's a lot of negativity in the world, with mass shootings recently, and,
Right.
just they have to respond to domestic calls, so it's important to, honor our first responders. And so I plan on pitching a story next week about National EMS Week, so stay tuned.
Great. Well, with all that being said, where can people find you if they want to send you stories?
You can email me at Hargrove, which is my entire last name, at WNCT.com. That's pretty much the only place that you could email me at. And, I do have an Instagram, which is Adrianna HTV. And then I have a Twitter, which is Adrianna HTV as well, I think. Yes, it is.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on today's episode, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.